Hi Siri, I'm looking for a new podcast, one that preferably is hosted by a UF Hall of Famer, one that airs every weekday that would bring me everything I need to know about the Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions. Siri, is there such a show?
Have you heard of Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or any podcast platform?
Oh my gosh, why didn't I think of that? UF Hall of Famer Shane Matthews has a show every weekday. I'm gonna go check it out tomorrow. Thanks, Siri.
Good morning. Welcome to a Wednesday edition of the program. It's called Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. It's large enough to serve you, small enough to care. We're glad you're along for the ride today. We were supposed to have Mike Morgan. Doesn't look like it's going to work out today. So we have JC, and then you'll be stuck with me answering questions and comments and all that good stuff. If you missed it last night, a lot of bowl games yesterday. We can recap those. We got some other stuff I just want to talk about in general. JC, good morning. You're on the Titan MR hotline. What you think?
I'm having some issues getting situated here, boys and girls. Sorry about that. I don't know if you can see me great. Those lights.
Maybe turn them off. How about turning them off?
Okay. There we go. All right.
Yeah. There.
Good morning. Good morning. Much better. Yeah. Look at that. The Orlando Guardians. So yeah, I think I'm doing okay. QB. We had a little bowl bonanza last night. We got into that. The grass is dormant outside. It's white. And I think we got 4 bowl games tonight, QB. If we're in the bowls, this is our time of year, right? We talked about it, and we got a couple SEC teams getting after it tonight with Arkansas and Mississippi. So a good game tonight down in California, Southern California, with the Oregon Ducks and the North Carolina Tar Heels. So if you like offense, stay up tonight, 8 o'clock. I think you're going to see a lot of it. Bo Nix, Drake May getting after it out there on the bowl game. Good game for Wisconsin last night under new head coach Luke Fickell, who was on the sideline, but Jim Leonhard was making all the decisions, and he's the outgoing interim coach. But Luke Fickell was there. They started a new guy at quarterback since Graham Mertz is now at Florida. And they got a big win over Oklahoma State, who really the wheels came off of them at the end of the year. And then how about my East Carolina Pirates, QB? The Pirates coming in there and putting it on Coastal Carolina with Holton Ahlers, setting a Birmingham Bowl record with 5 touchdown passes. So East Carolina finishes at 8-5. Nice little year for the Pirates. And Ahlers with 5 touchdown passes, which is a bowl record.
Speaking of that game, we got a couple Facebook Lives I got to get to in a second, but I have not heard, but did you see the injury to Grayson McCall?
Well, yeah, I saw the play it happened on. It was a touchdown run that he was going into the end zone, and he landed on the crown of his head. And then
he didn't come back in. When he landed, I was like, oh, because his neck went the wrong. It was so I don't know. Hopefully, it's not too bad because he's in the transfer portal. I would assume he ends up at Liberty with his former coach Jamie Chadwell. But we'll see. We'll see. John asked here. And I didn't see any of this. I went to bed. He says, QB, what did you think of Luke Fickell coaching Wisconsin last night? I thought that was a little odd.
He didn't coach.
So he was coaching on the sideline, JC, with a headset on?
No, he did not coach. He was there. Jim Leonhard was making all the decisions, but Luke Fickell was on the sideline, and he was not involved in any of the schemes or play calling or any of that. He was just observing from the sideline. They went with this kid named Wolf at quarterback, who had attempted something like 3 passes before the game even started. But Luke Fickell was just on the sideline. Jim Leonhard, who was the interim coach after they fired Paul Chryst, made all of the basically pertinent decisions in the game.
Who played quarterback for Oklahoma State? Some other kid?
Yeah, it wasn't Spencer Sanders. And again, Oklahoma State, it was really strange how their season just unraveled. I think they lost somewhere around something like 4 or 5 games. This guy named Rangel was the quarterback. Garrett Rangel was their quarterback. He threw for 229 and had 2 touchdowns, but he also had 2 picks. Chase Wolf was the Wisconsin quarterback. Not much through the air, but it was good enough for them to go up 24-7 and hang on to win the game 24-17. So, bowl season, baby.
Okay, so our bowl picks on Monday, our Peachland Dental picks. JC went 2-3. I went 4-1. We'll pick some more here in a momentarily. Greg says ESPN says Hartman to Notre Dame likely. Yeah, it looks like Sam Hartman will go to Notre Dame. A lot of people said he had some health issues before the season, and a lot of people said that kind of ruled him out here at UF. Who knows if that's true or not? Davis says it's interesting that Texas Tech and Ole Miss didn't have a mass exodus like here at UF. Oh, trust me, Ole Miss has built their entire program on transfers the last 2 years. I think they brought 27 kids in last year, and they're like 50th or 60th in America in recruiting. Ole Miss. Lane will bring in. He will get rid of some kids, and he will bring in transfers. Trust me, that's how he builds his program.
Yeah.
So again, as I try to tell people, and they can argue with me because it's my opinion. You have your opinion. Why people are concerned about Florida losing as many players? I think it's 33 right now off a team. The last 2 years they went 12-14. I don't know why you care. I do not understand that. Why do you care?
I'd be excited, frankly. I don't want nothing. Kids are kids. We can't get too hard on them. They don't. Right. They're college kids. But gee whiz, guys. I mean, you're a sub 500 team. If you lose players and get different players, you ought to think that maybe the results could possibly be different. I don't know.
Well, here the reason I say why people shouldn't care is because it wasn't because it was one staff that went 12-14. It was two different staffs. And you can say what you want to say. These guys have coached football for a long, long time. There's a common denominator. So it is what it is. The best players on this year's football team for the Florida Gators were players that they brought in and they evaluated. So you got to stick with the program or find another team. I don't know how else to say it. Okay, so listen to these Facebook Live. John says, here's my take on Graham Mertz. I know he didn't light it up at Wisconsin. He had his struggles. If you remember, Hendon Hooker didn't light it up at Virginia Tech either before transferring. That's a great point. And people forget, too, has there ever been a quarterback lighted up at Wisconsin? No. And secondly,
well,
he was one of the top 3 quarterbacks coming out in 2019.
Yeah.
And if Alabama wants you, you're pretty damn good. And Alabama thought they were getting him, and he shunned them the last minute and went to Wisconsin. So, look, whether he takes a snap for the Gators, you got to give him a chance. Tyler says, Shane, why are all these Fairweather fans freaking out over Billy getting rid of lazy players? I have no idea.
Sorry, lazy players.
Matt says, do y'all see any coaching changes at UF? Our linebacker coaching recruiting is subpar. I will disagree with the linebacker coaching. Mike Peterson knows what he's doing.
Mike Peterson?
He coaches the linebackers. So he's an excellent recruiter. Recruiter.
Yeah, I think we'll talk about a Pro Bowl linebacker at one point.
Greg says, so here's another one, and I'm not taking a shot at Greg. He's asking a question. Can you replace that many bodies with quality players? Okay, we're not losing any quality players, people. That's the point. You're going to be able to replace them. Now, whether it's better players, again, it's 12-14 in 26 years.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 26 games.
Yeah.
So, yes, we've already got one D lineman I know out of the portal from Louisville, which our last transfer out of Louisville was a pretty good pass rusher. So we'll see. So David wants to know, explain the Tarquin and White from the offensive line, a functioning part of this team. Look, we don't know if those kids wanted to be here. Again, there's been reports that on the Gator Collective site, they've had, or whatever Spaces is on Twitter, Spaces, they had some interviews with some current Gator players that said Billy runs a different operation than Dan Mullen. He makes you more accountable. It ain't easy. Some kids mentally can't handle that, so they leave. We don't know if Coach Napier sat down and said, you know what? We think this guy is going to be a better player than you. Even though you're a starter right now, we think he's got a chance. You're going to have to compete. I had Kerwin Bell on yesterday. Kerwin's done that with his players. He says you're going to have to come, whether you're a starter, but we got kids coming in. You're going to have to compete. You know what those kids did? They went straight to the transfer portal. So just because they started, it doesn't mean anything, folks. Again, we went 12-14. That's all I can say. And yes, Russell Wilson was a decent player at Wisconsin, but he was not great. He was not great. And he surely the hell ain't great right now in the National Football League.
It's the biggest surprise for me this year.
It's not, because if it's interesting because if you watch and listen to some of these guys that break down tape 24 hours a day, if you go back and you watch Russell Wilson with the Seattle Seahawks, I thought I read somewhere like 68% of the plays, like his passing yards, came off of scrambles.
Yeah. Well,
you can't win doing that.
No, but if John Elway gives you one of the biggest contracts in the NFL.
Ridiculous.
Come on, that's what I'm surprised about, is that John Elway, a Hall of Famer, one of the greatest of all time, is saying this is my guy for the long term, and he's getting whatever he wants. That surprised me, that it would go that badly. And I don't know if it's Nathaniel Hackett, and we're not here to talk about the lousy Denver Broncos, but dear God, that is one of the worst exhibitions of football display that you'll see in the NFL ever. It's how bad it was. So
yeah, and look, I mean, it is what it is. It's almost, to me, when I watch the Broncos play, that Russell doesn't know what to do with the football. You can blame Nathaniel Hackett, you can do whatever you want, but he does not know where to go with the football.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable to me. But
again, it goes back to those people that study the NFL game on a daily basis, said that majority of his plays were made running around playing street ball at Seattle. Are you in the market to buy or sell your home? Doreen Weeby, a realtor with Caldwell Banker, Emmett Parish, will provide you with fast, friendly, reliable service. Call her today at 352-562-1411 to help your dreams come true. JC, I screenshot some stuff because I wanted to bring it up.
Good.
All right.
Good.
So I read this the other day, but you were off the air, and I don't know if you heard it or not. But this is about the NIL. Remember Jordan Addison, the Biletnikoff Award winner from Pittsburgh that went to USC?
Went to Southern Cal.
These are people taking shots at him because he asked to wear Carson Palmer's retired number, Heisman Trophy winner, number 3. They gave him an estimated $3 million in the NIL. They tampered to get him from Pitt, according to Pat Narduzzi, all for him to catch only 59 passes, which comes out to be $51,000 per pass, and he skipped the bowl game. It says, welcome to the NIL, which is a mess. Okay, this is what I want to say. I don't know, you probably didn't see this, but it was great. And I'm going to tell you what he said, but you need to see the video. So Will Muschamp was, they're up there in Atlanta doing all their pressers before the game Saturday. So he was asked about the last meeting between Ohio State and Georgia, which he played in. So Muschamp said, quote, "I saw Herbstreit throw a pass across the room during the pregame luncheons that we had to be at, and I knew we had a chance to win." He says, y'all make sure to let him know I said that too. I thought that was hilarious.
Great. That's great. Hey, man, I'm looking really forward to Saturday, dude. It's really our last day of full-blown college football hysteria. And, the Bowl's kicking in with 4 today and a bunch tomorrow. We got an NFL, actually not tomorrow, but an NFL game tomorrow with Dallas and Tennessee, and getting ready, to really lock in on the NFL playoffs here. But the bowl games, dude, or rather the Saturday week.
60 points, 21 rebounds, and 10 assists last night for a triple-double, which has never been done in the NBA history. And they asked him, I watched he's on the court after the game doing his interview, and they asked how he feels. He said, "I'm tired as hell. I need a recovery beer." You ever had a recovery beer, JC?
I should have had one yesterday after golf. Actually, I think I did have one yesterday after golf. Dallas 126-121 over the Knicks. When somebody goes 60, 21, and 10, it almost seems like it's street ball. It's like, give our guy, the best player, the ball and let him win the game for us. He had half the points of the team, QB.
Well, he's that good. He's ridiculous.
Oh, I know. It's really amazing. And then he wants to go drink beer afterwards. 21 rebounds is almost as impressive as impressive as 60 points. I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, I mean, we don't really talk yet much about the NBA. We more or less get into it come playoff time, but it is interesting to see somebody throw up those kinds of numbers. That is stunning. And we don't talk much about hockey. We wait until the playoffs, but that's also very competitive right now this year, with some really exciting teams with some really crazy records, man. Boston and Jersey and Dallas, these are teams just lighting up the records right now. So anyway, but as far as the bowl games go, man, I just really want to see good games, good football games, get kids on the roster playing. We don't seem to have as many folks stepping away from the games, and I'm really kind of happy that Will Anderson and Bryce Young are going to play for Alabama, so we could have that.
Speaking of that, did you see where your supposedly quarterback next year, what position they got him playing right now?
No.
Wide receiver.
The quarterback
they got him working at the bowl game at wide receiver because that dude can't play quarterback. He can't play quarterback. He will not be their quarterback.
Who are we talking about? Tell me who we're talking about. I'm missing this.
Whoever the damn kid is that played when Bryce got hurt. It's a tailback.
Oh, you're talking about Jalen Milroe.
Yeah, he will not be your quarterback next year.
No, I think that's true, but he's athletic and he should be playing football somewhere on the field.
Yeah.
So, get him out there. Let him run around and catch balls. Dear God, I mean, that's wonderful. Good for him. John
says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mellon Law, Hackett got fired from the Broncos just after 15 games. Do you think they make a run at Sean Payton? They will, but I don't think Sean Payton would take that with Russell Wilson being the quarterback.
Yeah,
I'm being forward. I don't think Russell Wilson can run that West Coast offense.
What about this? You hire this guy Hackett. He comes from a coaching family.
Well, I think they hired him because they thought they were going to get Aaron Rodgers. Is why they probably hired him.
Well, perhaps, yeah. But here's a guy that's been successful offensively. Comes from a coaching family. His dad, and in less than a season, he is let go. I think you need to look at the people who are making the hiring and firing decisions a little bit closer. And maybe that's why Denver's had such problems here in the last 5 years. I mean, that is a passionate fan base, maybe one of the biggest, most passionate fan bases in the NFL. It's right up there with Green Bay and Buffalo. It is. Denver fans are crazy about their Broncos, and they will travel just like Kansas City. This is a great fan base. They have been so bad, and I think it comes from the front office. I mean, God bless Elway and those guys for what he did on the field. I just don't think he knows what he's doing in the front office. I really don't.
Yeah, that's probably true. Sticking with the NFL before we move on to college hoops and some other stuff. I saw this report, JC. Kevin says, hang on a second, I got to read this. I love these comments. I wish I could read them all. Kevin said there's a new shirt motto. Get with the program or find another team. I agree.
Get with the program or find another team. Okay.
That's what I think I say that a lot. Go find another team.
You like to say the scared money don't make money, something, whatever.
That's Billy Napier's deal.
I know, but you wear the shirt.
I didn't come up with that. John says, did you see Paul Tyson transfer from Arizona State to Clemson? I did not see that. If he couldn't beat out Emory Jones at QB, what makes him think he's going to beat out? He ain't going to beat out Klubnik. Maybe he just wants to go there. Did you know Paul Tyson went to Arizona State?
No.
Be on his third team. He won't have to play.
No, not with Klubnik. Klubnik's going to play against Tennessee on Friday night. Pretty good player, man. You're going to enjoy watching.
All right, so I wanted to read this about the NFL before we move on. And big weekend in the NFL. You got Thursday games, Saturday. We got Saturday games. We got Sunday games on January 1st. It's a report out there that the NFL is talking about making everybody go to grass stadiums, and it costs everybody like $11.9 million because 14 of the 30 stadiums use artificial playing surface. I don't know how that's possible because in the new state-of-the-art stadiums like in Arizona and Vegas, they roll in turf and then they roll in natural grass. You can't do that at the Superdome. You can't do it where the Texans play. You can't do it.
What are you going to do in Minnesota? What are you going to do in Minnesota and Detroit? How are you going to go grass?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think they're probably referring to the outdoor stadiums like in Cincinnati, I don't know if Baltimore's back to turf. Baltimore's flip back and forth, but
Okay,
I agree. I agree 110% with
yeah,
that. They need
yeah.
to do away. I don't know why I know why they do it because it's there's no maintenance. But
Cheaper.
there is nothing worse than playing on turf. Nothing
No,
worse.
and yes, on the outside, on the outdoor stage, if you can have it in Pittsburgh, if you can have it in Cleveland, if you can have it in Green Bay, you can have it anywhere in America, as opposed to what they're playing on outdoors. And yes, you can't do it on these indoor places like in Detroit, Minnesota, but you surely can do it. Well, like I said, you can do it in Green Bay, you can do it in Buffalo, you can do it in Pittsburgh, you can do it in Baltimore, and that is correct.
All right, David's got this question here. Back to college football. I'm going to take a different tact with our Gator fan base. Our beat writers have not been investigating what's going on, and I would say this has been happening since Spurrier.
Who's our beat writers?
I don't know what he means by what's going on. What's going on is you have a bad football team the last few years that have only won 12 games, and the coach, whether he's the right coach or not, which I think he is, time will tell. He's getting rid of players that he does not think can win for the Florida Gators. I don't know how else to put it. I mean, how do you put it, JC? You're not even part of the program.
They just wanted better results. I mean, we all do, right? We all wanted better
results.
Correct.
But what he's saying is people want to know why this kid's leaving or why that kid's leaving. I just gave you the answers. There's basically two. A, the kid is wanting to try to get more money from another school, or B, the kid ain't good. Well, maybe there's more than two. The kid's not good enough to play here according to this staff.
Right.
And in three, the kid just does not want to play for these people.
Well,
there's nothing wrong with that, because I can't tell you how many athletes they cater to a certain type of coaching. And if you can't handle that, you go into a shell, you quit, or you go elsewhere, and that's what's happening.
But sometimes, remember in the days before the transfer portal, when your team went 7-5, or your team didn't have a great year, and the roster was basically there, and either they renewed your scholarship or they didn't. But in a lot of cases, they brought back kids.
They always did, for the most part.
Yeah. So they always did, but these kids didn't go scatter around the country like they are. And they stayed where they were, and they usually went from a freshman to a senior before they left the team, whether they were good or not at freshman. A lot of times they were a lot better by the time they got to be juniors and seniors. And I think everything's happening so fast these days that we have a tendency to kind of give up on some players sometimes. You know, again, I go back to the great Mac Jones. Was nobody coming out of high school, but he was good enough to be looked at by Alabama because they saw potential, and he waited 2.5 years to get his chance, and then he lit it up. And I don't know. I just think that, okay, so you have a bad year. You don't play a lot. You don't really have great numbers. And then all of a sudden you just leave. Sometimes you need to stick around and develop. Isn't there something to that? Don't you think, QB? I mean,
but what I'm saying is a lot of these guys have been playing a lot of football. When you've played, again, I go back to, because it's two different coaching staffs. Again, if it was one coaching staff, would there be some concern? Maybe, maybe not. But when there's two different coaching staffs, and you have pretty much the same players, and you go 12-14, something ain't right. So real quick, JC, I want to get back to, did you see where Ed Reed's going to be the head football coach?
I did.
Of Bethune-Cookman?
Yeah, they're trying to pull the same thing that Jackson State did with Deion. It's the same position coach, same position the guy played. Hall of Famer, all-time great. They need charisma. They need somebody to attract players there. Ed Reed's one of the greatest of all time, and maybe he doesn't have the same presence as a Deion Sanders, but you should listen to him talk. He's a Hall of Famer, and he's one of the greatest that ever played. So I see what they're doing. I like the hire. I think, why wouldn't you do that? I mean, you're Bethune-Cookman. You don't win football games. Jackson State rolls in. They're dancing before the game. Deion's doing all his things, right? And you blow them out. And then Bethune-Cookman say, well, we want that. So who can we go after, and who can we offer a job to that still wants to raise kids through a football system and basically be involved in the game? And I thought Ed Reed was a great hire. Why not? I don't care if he's a coach or not. It's just the personality that's coming there that can get some results at Bethune-Cookman.
I saw the over-under for the Colorado Buffaloes win total next year. You know what it is?
I'm going to guess it was 3.5.
4.5.
4.5.
And so I would probably go under that. I don't think they're going to be very good, quite honestly.
Well, I mean, you can't just turn over something that's dead and expect. No. I mean, now we have some rare cases where, like at TCU and so forth, but TCU has had the ability to attract football players to their school. Colorado has been just a moribund, dead program for as long as I can remember. I mean, it's awful. So this is a shot in the arm, try to resuscitate a program, and maybe he can do it. It will not happen in 1 year, but it could happen in 2 or 3. Again, we got to give these coaches a little time, and that's the cautionary tale I would say to Florida fans, is that you can't – you just got to be a little bit more patient. I know it's hard to say that. I know people are saying, oh, that's baloney, JC. I'm sick of being patient. I'm sick of waiting. I'm sick of going 6-6. I'm sick of going 5-6 and whatever. I get it, man. Believe me, I do. And, it wasn't that long ago, or it was actually, but I remember vividly when Alabama football was just horrible. They couldn't figure out who to get as coach. They then hire a guy like Mike Dubose. He goes off and runs off with his secretary. I mean, so many things happen sometimes at programs where they just can't get it right. And we can only hope that next year, like you said, they have to win 8 games, and 9 would be amazing. But if they don't win 8 games, QB, you got big problems down here.
Yeah.
And I think that's the number, 8 or 9, like you say. Let's see if they can do it.
Taking our text line from Darrow says, good morning, Shane. What kind of NIL deal do you think Sam Hartman got from Notre Dame? I don't know if it's confirmed that he's going there. That's just the rumors. But Notre Dame's probably got more money than anybody. Wouldn't you say, JC?
Yeah, and they're the kind of program, they like to just talk about it sometimes over rather than spend it. But the finances are not an issue there. So I don't know. Marcus Freeman, if he's the kind of guy, Sam Hart, I don't know. Dave Clawson to me gets you to the NFL just as easily as Marcus Freeman. But what do I know?
Okay, so Ryan's got a text here, and it's long. I'm going to read it, so I'm not sure where it's going because I haven't been able to proofread it before on air, but we're going to roll the dice. Good morning, fellas. Going back to Monday's conversation about men in PJs on Christmas Eve, a family of 5 rolled into Chick-fil-A sporting these red plaid PJs with "Feeling Jolly" plastered in big white letters. This wasn't a mom and dad with 3 little toddlers, mind you. This was a couple of 40-something with a teenage boy and girl and grandma. The 3 ladies came in head held high, proud of those PJs, while dad and the boy, who was like 6'2", had their heads down in shame and wouldn't make eye contact. I thought to myself, Mama better have promised Daddy to make sure he was feeling jolly later that night with something extra in his stocking, if you know what I mean. I can't imagine any other reason why a grown man is sporting those in public. Were you on the show when I was talking about the silly pictures and everybody in the matching pajamas?
Yeah, and I talked about the crew from Dallas that was going to Disney World.
Oh, that's right.
Santa Claus pajamas. I don't know. I wore.
Do you know what happens today, JC, in college basketball?
Oh, what? No, what?
The SEC play starts.
Oh,
so you got a slew of SEC games starting at 5. Tennessee's at Ole Miss. The Gators are at Auburn.
We haven't even
Mississippi State, Bama play. So we got a lot going on in sports today. Tons of SEC games.
So, QD, what do you think that's all about? Typically, it's not until January. And here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 SEC games, and Georgia's playing an out-of-conference game. So 6 SEC teams. Yeah, dude, 5 SEC games. How about the Arkansas LSU game as well? I mean, that's going to be at Baton Rouge. That'll be an athletic run up and down the court.
Well, Alabama's 8 in America. They're playing at Mississippi State, who's number 21 in America. That'll be a good game as well.
It'll be a very good game. Very good game. You can tell it's going to be a good game. Vegas has it a line at 2.5. So you're giving Mississippi State a lot of respect, and you should. They play great defense there under that new coach they got. So, that just completely flew under the radar for me on today's sports schedule. All of these SEC basketball games. I think that's great. Tennessee is the 7th ranked team in the country. Alabama's 8. Arkansas is 9. We've got some real good teams in the conference. Kentucky's 19. Auburn is 20. I will say today on December 28th that we'll have no less than 6 teams in the tournament this year.
So JC, let me ask you this: what stands out to you in the Auburn Florida game? Auburn's ranked 20th at 10-2. The Gators are 7-5. And why is Auburn only favored by 5.5?
Right. That is very surprising that it's not higher. I think Auburn at home is one of the harder teams to deal with. That's a good home court advantage. They're 8-2 in their last 10. I can't imagine why that's not more than 5. To me, it should be about 10. I don't know what Florida has done to show me that they can hang with this group, for 40 minutes on the court. But hey, listen, if Vegas has something figured out and this is a close game, that would be win or lose. A great effort for the Florida Gator basketball team that's only managed 7 wins in 12 and is got the 11th best record in the SEC right now. So I don't know. That's a strange line, QB. That's fishy. I'm not sure what
very fishy. All right, JC, here's a question for you before we get to our Peachland Dental picks. Michael asked, he asked both of us, but I'm going to let you answer. What entity do you see making changes with the NIL and the transfer portal? NCAA, the federal government, or another?
Oh gosh, I don't think the federal government's going to get involved in that. I think it's if anything, it would be the NCAA somehow, maybe capping the amount of money that these kids are allowed to get paid. I know that sounds somewhat communist, but they've got to get some control over the way these funds are flying around and on these campuses, because we're just inviting corruption. And I think it's going to be the NCAA. If the NCAA has, and listen, the NCAA seems almost powerless, really, when you think about it, because they didn't want this to happen to begin with, and the Supreme Court basically told them it's happening. So you guys got to figure out what to do about it. I don't think the federal government right now is going to get involved in this. I can't imagine why, but I don't think they will. So I'd say
I have zero problem with the transfer portal. It's the NIL's the problem.
Well, that's what I'm referring to. The transfer portal is what they decided to allow happen. As far as the money goes, though, we've got serious potential for corruption here. And listen, collusion, tampering. Think about the tampering that's going on. You mentioned that word earlier in the show today. That's just flat wrong. There has to be repercussions to disallow tampering. We have these things called non-competes. We have all kinds of contractual obligations out there that people have to abide by when it comes to organizations. In the NFL, you can't talk to somebody unless you get permission from the team if they're under contract with that team, right? QB, isn't that right? So there's got to be better controls put in place. If you're going to cap the amount of money a player is allowed to receive in a NCAA institution of some sort, then let's get on with that and legislate it somehow. And the presidents have to get on board, and the athletic directors, but mainly the school presidents have to get on board and decide to get control of this, or else they could lose control of it in the next 3 to 5 years.
Well, they already have lost control of it, so
more or less, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's get to our Peachland Dental.
Is that what you would have said?
Number one choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte, surrounding areas. Visit them at peachlanddental.com. We're going to pick today's bowls and tomorrow bowl games. JC, I'm 4-1 so far this week. You're 2-3. First game of the day, we got the Military Bowl. Duke 3.5 over the Central Florida Golden Knights.
Yeah, Duke is a sneaky good team, but I'm going to take points in this game. Give me Central Florida with a 3.5.
All right, I'll take the Dukies.
Yeah,
the Liberty Bowl. My phone here does not have a line. Does your phone have a line?
Yeah, Liberty Bowl is 2.5 with Arkansas being favored over Kansas. That's in Memphis. Could be chilly. I like Arkansas. I think Arkansas handles Kansas. Kansas, great little year. But give me Arkansas. Give me Arkansas. Just too many athletes.
That doesn't make any sense. Arkansas should be a lot more favored. I don't know if somebody's out.
Could be. Yeah, I mean that's very possible.
The Holiday Bowl, which should be a shootout. Oregon minus 13 against North Carolina.
I take the points. Give me Carolina, please.
Yeah, I'm going to do the same. Although Carolina just stinks.
Their defense is just. I don't know how Mac Brown watches that week in and week out. That's awful. Oregon could easily win that game by 3 touchdowns. And then finally Mississippi. The Texas Bowl, right? So let's see. I lost you. Shoot. Well, if you can hear me, if anybody can hear me, give me Mississippi QB. If you shoot, I can't hear you, but I'll take Mississippi QB laying 3.5.
I don't know what's going on. So read
okay.
my lips.
Got
Read my
your back.
lips.
Okay. What was the question?
Thursday in the Pinstripe Bowl, the Golden Gophers are -10 over the Syracuse Orangemen.
Wow. Good God. Give me the Syracuse Orange, man.
All right, I like the Syracuse Orangemen too.
Give me Florida State. Give me Florida
all right,
State.
I'll take the Sooners because they're going to score, and they're going to score a lot. Both teams are going to score a lot, but I think Oklahoma.
What's the 9.5?
Yeah, you got the semis.
And then give me Washington plus 3.5 over Texas.
You're going against your beloved Longhorns. What's that all about?
Not a good pick. I know. I'm doing counterintuitive picks here because I went 2-3 the other day. So I'm going what I don't think will happen.
All right, JC.
Yeah. Who you got tomorrow?
That's it. I was reading this right here real quick. This is from John. It says college coaches like Mac Brown and Narduzzi who say tampering is happening but will not name the other coaches are trying to keep their own skeletons in the closet.
Sure. I mean, possibly, because if one team is doing it to you, you're more prone to maybe return the favor. Tampering is wrong, man. That is part of the biggest issue I think we have going right now. Is
I don't know how you stop it, because here's the thing, because I know this has happened quite a few times.
Yeah.
Because all you have to do at the collegiate level is, you when you recruit kids, you start recruiting them when they're young. So you build these relationships with their high school coach, with their grandparents, with their parents. And all you got to do is have somebody that in town say, hey, is Johnny Cornell happy at School X? We'd love for him to come play here. Now they know you're interested and you show interest, and that's how it happens. That's tampering, but there's no way you can keep away from doing it.
No, you just have to make the consequences punitive. You have to sanction people, you have to fine them, you have to do whatever you can to try to dissuade that type of behavior.
Again, I don't care about the tampering. It's about paying the player. That's the problem. Well,
players going to get paid, QB. It's just how.
My point is paying the player the proper way. That's what it's not the tampering. It's not the transfer portal. It's I'm going to stroke a check for X amount of dollars more than this school, and he's going to go play there. That's the problem.
Free agency.
Yeah. All right, JC. Good luck on your picks. We'll see you.
Yeah, Friday. We'll see you Friday. Oh, and I'll take Dallas too, by the way, over Tennessee in the NFL tomorrow night.
Well, I mean, Titans stink. Titans. What if they rest everybody for their big showdown against the Jags?
Yeah, this game this weekend with Jacksonville, Houston, and Tennessee and Dallas is irrelevant. It comes down to next weekend's game in Jacksonville. That will be the play-in game for the AFC South Division. Yep.
All right, JC, appreciate it. That's JC. Join us on the Titan More Hotline. We're going to take a timeout, come back, get to these texts and these comments you're watching and listening. Pot Up Matthews in the Morning.
We want to take this moment to thank our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, the only official injury and accident law attorneys of the Florida Gators. Peaceland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp. Comfort is our business. Peace of mind is our promise.
Campus USA Credit Union.
QC Kinetics. Live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Dave & Buster's. Eat, drink, play, and watch. Our gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co., Ruse Ogre State Farm Insurance, Doreen Wibby, Realtor, Caldwell Banker, MM Parish. Our touchdown sponsors are Adams Ribs, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteak, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Aver and Smith, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Silver Q Billiards and Sports Bar. If you're interested in promoting your business on the show, call Freddie at 352-284-3733. If you like what we're doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Hi, Steve Spurrier here. You know, making a reservation at my restaurant is easier than a Saturday afternoon homecoming game against Vandy. You don't have to call or email. Just go to spurriers.com, hit the reservation button, pick a date, a number of guests, and a time. It's so simple, I can do it. In fact, I just did. Maybe I'll see you tonight.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Celebration Points, where the Gators go to celebrate, with premium brands like Nike, International Diamond Center, Dave & Buster's, Palmetto Moon, Escapology, Visor's Rooftop, and the HBC's restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, the #1 celebrity polished casual restaurant in America. We will see you at Celebration Point, where the Gators go to celebrate. I want to thank JC for joining us on the Titan More Hotline. A lot of people have been talking about the pistol formation. I have zero problem with the pistol. We're not the only team that runs the pistol in college football. Pretty much everybody has some version of the pistol. So we're not always out of the pistol, but it has nothing to do with the speed of reading stuff. So anyway, JB says y'all went mute on the Ole Miss picks. We both picked Ole Miss. We'll see if the Rebels show up and play. Charles says tampering destroys locker rooms. They definitely need to be heavy hand of accountability. Unfortunately, NCAA can't do anything. The NCAA needs a cap. Yeah, it's a mess. I hated the NIL when it came into existence. I knew it was going to be a disaster. It's actually worse than I thought it was going to be, though. But it is what it is. This Day in Sports brought to you by our good friends at Comfort Temp. Comfort is our business. Peace of mind is our promise. Give Comfort Temp a call. Check out your heater and your AC, 352-376-2366. I meant to read this when JC was on with us. I wanted to get his thoughts. Some of y'all may know about this if you've been, if you ever watched this game, if you were around back in the day. But in 1958, they say it's the greatest game ever played. The Baltimore Colts win the 26th NFL championship against the New York Giants 23-17 at Yankee Stadium, in the first ever sudden death overtime game in NFL history. 17 future members of the Pro Football Hall of Fame were involved in that game. So maybe that's why they call it the greatest game ever. I don't know, but that's brought to you by our good friends at Comfort Temp. John says there was also a report that the NFL is looking into ejecting players for roughing the passer. I think that there's no way you can do that. Now, the hit that what's his name? The kid that played at Florida State the other night, plays for the Chargers. I can't think of his name right now. It'll come to me. That was an explosion. I could see you get thrown out of the game for that kind of hit. But some of these roughing the passers these days, I mean, you see harder hits in flag football. It's nonsense. So I don't know what they're going to do about roughing the passer, but it is what it is. Again, Gators play tonight in college basketball at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Opening up SEC play. We were hoping to get Chris Harry. He's traveling. Again, Mike Morgan usually joins us on Wednesdays. He got a lot of bowl games this afternoon. We got another text on the Titan and More text line from John. John says, Shane, you have mentioned that you are not concerned at all with all the departures. How can we as Gator fans believe you? This is a long text. Look, I don't have all the answers. I just give my opinion, John. I just know that if we had gone 20-6 in those 26 games and people were leaving, I'd be concerned. But again, the facts are the facts. You know, people complain about us not being very good on defense this year. People complain about us not being very good on defense the previous year. Okay? That's two entirely coaching staffs. Whether you think either staff is very good or not, they've coached college football or pro football or whatever for a long, long time. Okay? So, you know, people talk about, you know, guys getting better. Sometimes guys don't get better. That's the the word develop sometimes drives me nuts, because think about Billy Donovan, how great of a basketball coach he was, one of the greatest of all time. We'd have these top-notch players come in here that may get lost in the shuffle, and people are like, well, we need to develop them. Do you not think Billy Donovan can develop? But sometimes an athlete reaches a peak that he does not get any better. And I don't know what else to say. I mean, I'm as frustrated about losing football games as anyone, but my eyes tell me we have not had great talent here. And this is not a shot at any player on our football team. It's just a fact. And like I said, you can blame coaching. That's fine. But you're blaming two different coaching staffs. And so anyway, that's my take on it. Appreciate the text. Derwin James is his name. You're right. He's a hell of a player, by the way. Hell of a player. So I appreciate the text, John. I understand you're frustrated. Everybody's frustrated. And everybody thinks that just because you have guys leaving that something's wrong in the program. And I disagree with that 110%. We've had our listeners comment because that Spaces program on Twitter, some current players that were true freshmen that played a little bit, I think were on the Spaces, said that Billy runs a different ship than what these veterans were used to in the past, and they don't want to be a part of it. You know, some guys just can't handle discipline, accountability, and those types. I saw it my entire career. All right. Wes says every school in the playoffs get rid of players that don't fall in line. Win or go home. I agree, Wes. I agree for sure. Okay. Whew. Text on the Titan Mar text line. Matt from Mariana. I know a lot of fans complain about Napier's play calling. I disagree, but I am curious about your thoughts on Mullen versus Napier's play calls. Great question, Matt. I think I thought Dan was a really good play caller. I think Billy did a really good job calling plays this year, quite honestly. I know people will argue with me about that, but Mullen was a very good play caller when he had Kyle Trask, Tony and Pitts. Okay. You got two guys that went in the first round to skill position, and a guy who went sometime in the second round. I can't remember when. Trask, a outstanding college quarterback. Okay. Billy didn't have any of that on offense. I know he's going to have a first round quarterback, but when you compare Kyle Trask and Anthony Richardson, there's no comparison when it comes to throwing the football. Zero. People can argue with me all there. I know y'all want to. I'll be perfectly fine. The facts are the facts, though. I don't give a damn how far he can throw it and how hard he can throw it. He was nowhere near the passer Kyle Trask was. Not even close. So that's a great question. But I think back, all I can think about is the year and a half that Mullen had Trask and those guys, and Billy did not have those guys. So it's kind of hard to tell, but I felt like Billy tried to call plays to keep us in games because also our defense was so poor. So we'll see. That's a great question, Matt. Appreciate the text. John says there are 7 ACC starting quarterbacks transferring out. Does that mean there's something wrong with every ACC school? It's just the era we are on. You're exactly right. I didn't realize 7 of them are. Good gracious, that's a lot. Toby says we're weeding out football players, not soccer players, is what I meant. I don't know what that means. I have no idea. Toby says Billy's doing the same thing Nick Saban's doing, weeding out soccer players and keeping the players that want to play hard for him. Okay. I missed the previous text there. Ruse Ogre State Farm Office is a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family. Visitogreinsurance.com. Give them a call at 352-240-1779. A few more minutes here. Another text here from Robin. She says, Shane, I live up in the Sea Island area. I heard you were going to be doing the Gator Bowl game on radio. Is that true? Yes, it is true. I'll be doing it with Frank Frangie, who's the voice of the Jaguars. He also does a few college games throughout the year for Touchdown Radio. Touchdown Radio is a national radio service owned by Gino Torretta, the Miami quarterback, Heisman Trophy winner. They have a national game of the week around the country in college football, do a bunch of bowl games. And so they asked me to do the color analysis for that game. So it should be a good one. Should be a good crowd at the Gator Bowl between Notre Dame and South Carolina. What's interesting in that game is South Carolina had one of their best years they ever had, 8-4. They've lost their two best players to the transfer portal. Notre Dame's quarterback is transferred out. So it's the Gators ain't the only one. I think Gator fans just think we're the only team losing players, but it's happening everywhere. Kids are looking for a dollar here or there and a better chance for them maybe to play. I don't really know. Let's take our final time out. Come back. We'll wrap up this Wednesday edition.
We want to take this moment to thank our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, the only official injury and accident law attorneys of the Florida Gators. Peaceland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise.
Campus USA Credit Union.
QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Dave & Buster's, eat, drink, play, and watch. Our gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co., Ruse Ogre State Farm Insurance, Doreen Wibby, Realtor Caldwell Banker, MM Parish. Our touchdown sponsors are Adams Ribs, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteak, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Aver and Smith, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you're interested in promoting your business on the show, call Freddie at 352-284-3733. If you like what we're doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Hi, Steve Spurrier here. You know, making a reservation at my restaurant is easier than a Saturday afternoon homecoming game against Vandy. You don't have to call or email. Just go to spurriers.com, hit the reservation button, pick a date, a number of guests, and a time. It's so simple, I can do it. In fact, I just did. Maybe I'll see you tonight.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Chris Doring Mortgage, they do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris Doring Mortgage today at 352-244-0840. JB says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mellon Law, we need some filler players through the portal, and we don't think Napier's is seeing and filling that need, doing it very well. Look, they know they're not just going to take a player just to take a player. They're going to take good players that they think can help their football team. But you got to remember, JB, there's like 121 Division I schools, FBS, and a ton of FCS, Division IIIs. Those schools are looking for players too. So we're not the only people that has a opening for players. I think that's where a lot of Gator fans get upset, and I get it. But you got to remember, if a kid has an opportunity out of the portal to go to Florida or go to Ohio State or Georgia or Alabama or LSU or one of those places, all those teams have been winning a lot of games. That kid may choose them, and I don't blame him. I get it. So you got to keep an open mind, knowing that we ain't the only people that have an opportunity for these kids. Michael says, probably too late for this show. How do we listen to you and Frank? That's a great question. I think it's on like Sirius and all that stuff. It's Touchdown Radio's broadcast. So maybe Google it. Maybe I'll try to find out and let everybody know tomorrow. Davis says, just read the Gainesville Sun. I do each day. The vast amount of sports UF has not one word of Gator sports. It is happening more often than not. Coverage of Gator sports is moving more and more to you, Shane. Well, I don't know about that. I just don't think people read newspapers anymore. It's just so hard. Nobody buys them. I know they still sell them, and I know you can read online, but a lot of times you got to subscribe. So we try to keep you updated here on sports, not just Gator sports, but a little bit of everything. Hope everybody enjoyed today's program. Have a great day out there. Enjoy your holidays. If you're off, enjoy the bowl games, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. Take care.